Nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to track calories and macros for the rest of their lives. So if we're doing this, for utilizing it as a tool, to what end does that look like? And how do you stop? We're going to dive into all that and more. But first, if you're a new listener, we have a 3-episode rule. If you listen beyond 3 episodes, we just ask that you quickly hit pause and leave us a quick 5-star review. You can write a comment on there if you would like, and tag us on social media. If you share the episode, it helps us build this audience. Free podcast. We don't charge for it. We have no sponsors outside of ourselves. All we ask is you help us build this community. And if something helped you, if it inspired you, if it gave you insight, it's likely to do the same for somebody else. So do your part in the community. That's your only job. Help us spread the awareness. But diving right in. This has been a hot topic lately. It's something you and I believe, are on opposite ends of at the moment.
Kinda. Well, it comes up a lot because obviously I think we kind of, we often share about macros. So I think people assume that we just track them all the time. And even a lot of our new clients that come to us, like they have come from coaches who can maybe educate them really well on macros, but then it's like they don't give them any insight as far as how to eat mindfully or not track macros and keep their success. And that's really one of the biggest things I think that makes SD Evolution a lot different from other health coaching companies is our end goal with our clients is to get them to a place where they can implement mindful days and have confidence in eating without tracking and eating with intention. So we call it mindful eating. We call it intentional eating. It's different than intuitive eating. I think I don't really like to call it intuitive eating because a lot of people are not intuitive with how they should be eating.
Well, isn't mindful eating the educated version of intuitive eating?
Basically. So mindful eating, intentional eating is eating with intention, eating with an outcome in your mind as far as what's going to fuel your body best for your daily activity levels, for the goals that you have, for your overall health. So it's not just eating whatever you want and maintaining your success. It's eating in a way that makes you feel your best and look your best if that is your goal, and really just maintain your progress.
I also want to point out, we talk about differences with SD Evolution. We have had so many clients who will come to us, and that's one of their questions is, do we need to track macros? Do we need to track macros the entire time? And the answer is no to both of those questions. And the reason they ask it is because they have had a coach in the past who completely burnt them out with that. And the coaching experience, which I say as laughable because it's not coaching, it's just assigning plans, was here's your targets, here's your training program, good luck, we'll talk to you next week. There is nothing in between. You're either on the plan or you're off the plan. What we do is a lifestyle experience. We are a personal health and fitness concierge where we build everything about health and fitness into your current lifestyle to add value. It's little bits and pieces. We meet you with where you are. So if you don't want to track macros, we're going to talk about different ways to go about it and to train you for mindful eating eventually. If you are tracking, it will be with an end goal in mind. So we'll actually practice intuitive sessions so you can become a mindful eater down the road.
And discuss it. I think, coaches that you just mentioned who are just kind of human calculators or dishing out basic training programs.
Which you can find for free online and on our site.
No, but guess those coaches are going to be replaced by AI. Those coaches are not going to have success in another couple of years from now because people can get that from AI.
From a $30 group app.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. Maybe that's a fun one we dive into next. But yeah, part of the process of becoming a healthy individual is learning what works for your body. And I would say the only time that I would say macros is necessary for a short period of time is for those who have never tracked, who have no idea what's in the foods that they're eating. They have no basic nutrition knowledge whatsoever. Tracking macros for a few weeks can teach you so much about the foods that you're eating, can teach you so much about what works for your body. So, when you approach macros as an educational tool, I think that's completely different than approaching it from this is a fad diet that I'm going to stick to for 30 days and get my results. And then it's like, what do I do next? So there is purpose to it. But it isn't necessary for everybody, and it's something where more often than not right now we are not tracking compared to when we are tracking. I am in a season of life where probably since I had Cora, I've been pretty consistent with tracking most days of the week. I'm still not tracking every day. Just to, well, first, right after I had her, it was to make sure I was eating enough food, eating enough to support milk supply and just recovery postpartum and all of that. But, it gets to the point where we've done this for so long that we sort of have this internal knowledge of, okay, I can look at a plate of food and tell you exactly what the ratios of protein, carbs, fats, if it has any fiber. I can give you a good estimate of what that is and be pretty spot on. So I don't need to track often. But when I'm in more specific phases, like a fat loss phase or a muscle, I want to maintain my muscle right now while I'm doing more running. So I am being a little bit more diligent, at least tracking my protein and calories. There are phases where you have to be specific, and there are phases where we can kind of just be flexible with it. And you're in a phase where you're a little bit more flexible right now. So why don't you talk about like what your process is when it comes to choosing your meals each day and making sure you still end up in a place that's supporting your goals that you have?
Well, for starters, I will say and preface this with tracking calories and macros will always be the most efficient. You will always be more accurate. You're always going to be more consistent if you are tracking calories and macros. That said, while you're doing it, understanding the long-term game, it's like the Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off. As you're doing it, you're learning the moves. You're learning what you should be doing when you're not going to be tracking. Tracking is the training, and then mindful eating is the recipe for the rest of your life. So in the phase that I am in now, I'm not tracking anything, and I haven't tracked in a long time. Months, like several months. And usually I'll do a period of time just to kind of touch base where I'll go track for another week, because I'm the person who undereats when I'm not tracking. So when I notice I'm getting really, really tired, I'm not recovering well, I'm not getting stronger in the gym, I'm like, all right, it's time to track for a week. And oftentimes I'm like 700 calories lower than I thought I was or was aiming for. But I've been cruising for at least 3 or 4 months without it because I have been getting stronger. Energy has stayed up. I am staying fairly lean. So there has been no reason to. And all I'm focused on during my meals is making the best option. So I eat a ton of protein. I eat a lot of fats. I have minimized carbs quite a bit. And when I say minimize, I'm still probably consuming 250 grams of carbs per day. But compared to 500 or so, it's minimized. I'm way less sluggish. I even notice like if we have a fun breakfast, so if we go out or we switch things up at home and I'll do like healthy pancakes or, just something where I'm shifting fats to carbs, I get hit by noon. I'm like, what the fuck? I feel brain fog. I feel sluggish. I just feel off. And that was something that I had noticed in the beginning of this intuitive phase, this mindful eating phase. I noticed that correlation. So I'm like, you know what? Let me try to scale that back. I still need a ton of calories to maintain where I'm at. So I'm going to go healthier fats. I've got, a bunch of nuts at each meal, or I'm having a steak, or I'm lean burgers, whatever. All grass-fed, finished, organic, blah, blah, blah. Cholesterol is fine. Blood pressure is better than it has been literally since I was a teenager. And that is with a ton of red meat. Energy's up. So these are the little things I'm playing with. And we talk about mindful eating being the educated version of intuitive eating. It's not just listening to your body in a sense and hoping that you're following along with it. It's having the experience of having tracked previously and being very in tune with biofeedback, because I've been tracking that forever. We do that in our client portals as well. So I know what I'm responding best to. And I have consumed, and I have been very tired and sluggish a lot of my life on top of the Barrett's esophagus stuff, because I've eaten so many carbs, and primarily healthy carbs. I'm not talking about Pop-Tarts and, whatever else, fill in the blank with sugary cereal, A, B, and C. I had a period of that where I would pound that before and after workouts, which obviously didn't make me feel great. But even transitioning into the healthier stuff, a lot of potatoes, a ton of oats,
rice,
Ezekiel breads. It's not necessarily what I'm eating, but the amount of carbs in total that I'm eating, all that volume, fats and proteins, fats essentially, are more calorically dense. So I can consume less volume and have an equivalent amount of calories. So that was definitely a piece of it. But I just respond better to higher fats. Protein have always been higher. Fats have always not been low, but lower than carbs. And I have a ton of carbs to fill those calories. So my body is thriving on this new ratio. And had I not taken the numbers out, I may not have picked up on that. I just noticed when I shifted those portions and meals and swapped certain things out. So rather than having, say it was 6 eggs, 4 pieces of toast, a banana, and probably another carb to get to 120 grams of carbs, 2 cups of oats. Now it's 5 or 6 eggs, 3 pieces of toast, lathered in butter, some berries, something like that. So if I shift that even a little bit, if I get to that 100 plus threshold grams of carbs for a meal, I'm off a little bit. So that's where I'm at now. Those are the things that I've learned. Body composition is holding up well. Strength is improving in the gym. Like I said, blood pressure is down. I have no issues with cholesterol, with triglycerides. And a quick point on cholesterol is there really isn't a bad cholesterol, contrary to common belief. It's another thing called ApoB, and cholesterol is the carrier for that. So having higher cholesterol allows for more opportunity to carry that ApoB. But if your ApoB is not high, cholesterol is not a problem. So a common misconception there. I've had that argument with plenty of friends who forget what I do and just don't care. But
yeah, and I'll go into kind of what my mindset is when choosing meals in a second. But I really want to just highlight the fact that, when something is off, it's okay to go back to tracking a few days here and there. And a lot of you are not going to be able to go from tracking macros for a diet phase for a few months and then cold turkey go mindful eating. Like that's probably not going to set you up for success very well. We don't really see high success rate with our clients if we go straight from tracking every day to cold turkey nothing.
Should be a transition.
It's a transition period. And what that transition period looks like for you is going to be individual. There's a few methods you can take there, as far as, maybe you just stop using the app and just weigh out your foods and your portions still, or maybe vice versa. You stop weighing things out and kind of just eyeball.
Just real quick, one of the most effective things that I've utilized is you track one less day per week, assuming you stay on track and you're progressing well. So week 1, you're tracking every day. Week 2, you're tracking 6 days. Week 3, you're tracking 5 days until you're fully intuitive, mindful. Yeah,
like a reverse pyramid kind of thing. But I've gotten the question recently a bunch of times, kind of on opposite sides of the spectrum here. So one girl messaged me saying that she was however many months postpartum and could not keep muscle or weight on for the life of her. So this came through in a Q&A. So I responded and kind of asked for just some more information because I couldn't really answer that without more information. So I'm like, well, how much are you eating right now? Kind of give me some details. And she's like, well, I don't really know. Well, if you're not making progress, you're not seeing the results that you want to see, and you have absolutely no idea what you're eating as far as calories and protein really are the top 2, and fiber. But if you can't tell me a rough estimate of what you're eating and that you're being consistent with that daily, that is your answer. That is I'm going to tell you there's going to be a few days that you need to track this week and figure out what that looks like. In another post I recently posted, a lot of us have this upper limit, at least women do. I don't know if men do, but we have this upper limit of where we think calories should be, and we shouldn't ever pass that. But when you're in a different phase of life, breastfeeding, postpartum, you have a lot going on, you're trying to build muscle, you might need a lot more calories than you've ever needed before in your entire life. So you have to let go of what you may have done in the past that has worked. Because if it's not working right now, you have to, 1, figure out where you're at, and 2, be consistent with that before you transition away from tracking again.
Remember when I was bulking up to 230, I had to eat close to 5,000 calories a day. So there is no upper limit. Doesn't exist. I can't imagine being fucking 275, 300-pound bodybuilder. It was absolutely
atrocious. It's a full-time job.
It sucks.
But on the other end of that spectrum too, I had someone message me I'm having trouble losing weight. I think it's hormone related. And I asked her, well, what are you eating right now? Kind of give me the rundown, give me the basics, just to see if I could give her a general guideline. And she's not tracking currently. She tracked for a little bit with another coach, didn't focus on biofeedback. So it's not your hormones. It's the fact that you're probably just not eating what you should be eating for your current activity level.
And that's the thing. It's a common misconception. And I've fallen into that trap as well. When I went mindful for a while, again, when I stopped tracking, I undereat. So I was thinking testosterone, hormone levels, but I said, you know what? The first thing I need to know before I jump to conclusions, I need to go back to tracking. And that's when I saw how little I was eating compared to what I thought I was eating. And to maintain, I need to be at close to 3,000 calories. It's 2,800-ish I maintain, 2,800 to 3,000 I'm maintaining. I was probably at 23, 24, 25 some days. So wondering why I'm so tired all the time, wondering why I'm always in a bad mood, wondering why I'm not progressing and I'm not recovering, because I wasn't eating enough, point blank. So when we talk about educating yourself to the point of mindful eating, that's paying attention to what you're eating, paying attention to portion sizes while you are tracking, so you can then pull these things from the fridge very quickly and say, okay, this is how much I need for chicken, for my steak, for my whatever, my rice, my toast, whatever. This is what a typical meal looks like for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, with my snacks between, if you're doing snacks, or a meal 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it looks like. This is what it looks like. Here are the main things I'm consuming. And then once in a while, you're going to have different things, obviously mixing it up. That's fine. Then you read and react from that point. But you have your staples. You know your 6, 7 main meals that you're typically making each week for each meal. You've got to go to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know what to be taking in for each of those. And paying attention to that while you're tracking is what allows you to transition into mindful eating later on.
If you go 6 years back on my YouTube channel, I have full day of eating videos up there. We were in an entirely different phase of life than we're in right now. I think I was...
This Pop-Tart phase?
It might have... No, that was even longer. I mean, you could probably go 10 years back on my YouTube channel. I have old videos up there of full day of eating videos. And... we ate a lot different at that point. But as we progressed and kind of adapted the mindset that we have today, I eat a lot of the same meals I was eating 6 years ago. If you look back, like the breakfast that I was eating 6 years ago of my smushed raspberry toast with avocado toast and eggs and some spinach and some fruit on the side, like I eat that every day right now. And the only
farm fresh eggs. Tell you that.
Not
straight out the chicken's ass.
Not from the Skutnik farm.
Butt nuggets.
But I think that's such a valuable piece of information, is to have your staple, like rough outline of what you want your meals, or what you know works well for you as far as meals go. Maybe it's just like your protein and carb source, and then filter in some different fruits and veggies and micronutrients. That is the best thing that you can do, because it gives you variety, but it also doesn't make it overwhelming where you're like, I need to make a new recipe every day and like slave away in the kitchen. Like nobody has time for that. Or maybe you do, and that's great, but most of us do not have time for that. So, you know, our meals are quick, they're easy, they're very simple. It takes a few seconds to figure out what we need to eat that makes us feel well. But, you know, my mindset is always, okay, what is my go-to protein source for this meal, and how do I build that meal around that? So if, for lunch, if I'm going to go have a few buffalo chicken meatballs, I know I'm going to have about 3 meatballs to meet my protein needs for that meal. I can add some rice on the side if I want, avocado, throw a couple veggies in there and make it a little rice bowl. If I don't want a rice bowl, I can chop up that meatball and throw it into a wrap with avocado, some dressing, spinach, and I got my meal there with some fruit on the side. So just an example, but that same core of buffalo chicken meatballs can be 2 completely different meals based on what I'm feeling. And that's how I get that variety. That's how I don't ever get bored of the things that I eat. And I actually enjoy every single meal that we have. Like, it makes me feel good. It tastes good. It's easy. I'm not eating it or cooking it forever. And that's... You
don't want any liver or bone marrow?
I don't want any of that. But that's my point, is you have to make it simple and make it enjoyable if you want it to be something that works for you long term. But
you have to pay attention. We talk about it all the time. Through awareness, we create change. So we can't just be on cruise control all the time. We got to pay attention to what you're doing, why you're doing it, how it's making your body feel, how it fits into your lifestyle. Is it adaptable? Is it something you have to adapt to make it work for you? So that's how you educate yourself over time. It's not just going through the motions. Oh, I tracked for 10 years. I hated it and I blocked it out of my mind and I learned nothing from it. It's not the way to go about it. It's not
but
the way
so
your
many
coach...
people make that mistake. So if you did make that mistake, you're not alone.
Yeah. I mean, that's why people come to SDE Evolution. This was my experience. I don't ever want to do that again. But there's a better way. And that is the SDE method. So training, nutrition, mindset, movement, habits. Those are the 5 pillars of the SDE method. And that is how we take this from being a program or a plan and transition it into being a lifestyle. Because if it's not a lifestyle, you're not going to maintain it. If you don't maintain the protocol, you're not going to maintain the benefit. You're spinning your wheels. You're on the hamster wheel. You're going nowhere. You're up and down right back to where you started at that point. So Keep that in mind when you're hiring a coach, when you're investing in your future, which is what hiring a coach should be. And you ask that coach, okay, what does this look like long term? If they don't have an answer for you, on to the next one. We've done some calls over the past couple of weeks where this has been, we don't get a ton of pushback on price. But when we do, it's because they were expecting really a lesser experience. And I just explained, like, yeah, I totally get that. If you're looking for some targets, if you're looking for a training program, go find that cheaper coach. They're out there. They're a lot less expensive, but you're going to hire another coach as soon as this plan ends. Our goal is to be the last team you ever need to hire. It's an investment in your short-term goals, but also your long-term health. And we are all about the long-term plan while kicking butt in the short term. I'm not going to give too much away because when our website relaunches, we have some very, very cool things happening. I'm going to leave that there. Just a lot of great opportunities to be had.
Stay tuned in a couple weeks for more on that.
But to kind of come full circle with it, whether you're with us or somebody else, make sure that you are getting your money's worth from the experience that you're going to be on. It's not, can I commit to this for a short period of time? Anybody can do anything for 30 days, for 60 days, for 90 days. Can you do it for the rest of your life? Our coach is having the conversation with you about how this gets built into your lifestyle, about all the other things that you should be paying attention to. It's not just tracking calories and macros and checking off your workout plan. Are you tracking biofeedback, sleep, stress, soreness, energy levels, hunger levels throughout the day? Are you overcoming mindset blocks, the speed bumps? How are you working through them? When you go on vacation, we have a long weekend. Are they telling you to track through it? Do they have another plan in place to work through it? Are you practicing those intuitive pieces? Are you going away or scheduling a period of time where you're not tracking and you're focusing on the core habits that allow you to continue to thrive that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life? That is what health coaching should be. That's not what health coaching is. We are not health coaches. We are not a health coaching company anymore. Our team is health coaches, but we are not calling ourselves a health coaching company anymore. We are a personal health and fitness concierge. This is a luxury service to build all of these pillars into your current lifestyle. So if you've been pissed off about previous experiences, if you are having trouble putting the pieces into place, that's when you reach out for coaching. And you don't have to do that for the first step. Our resources on our site, our free resources, are free, and they are going to do the vast majority of what these other coaches are doing for $100 a month, for $200 a month. We have the app, which is $25 a month, which has general guidelines in those different areas, but it's updated training programs built around the training programs, quality training, focusing on progressive overload. We've got the running programs in there now. Those things are there to guide you. If you ever need hands-on approach for a shorter period of time, 3 months, 6 months, a year, short term for the rest of your life, having those things in place for the rest of your life, that's when you reach out for coaching. So that's our plug. That's what we do.
I want to add one more thing. I was texting one of our clients this morning because she was re-signing her contract. And I was just asking her, like, how's your cut phase going? She sent me her photos and she's killing it after 3 months. But what she said really stuck with me. And she said, before signing up with you guys, I was like 80% of the way there, but I was struggling. I was stuck at the 80% for so long. You guys got me to that 100. And that is like the prime example of what coaching is. Even if you have it mostly figured out, we can take you to that next level pretty seamlessly, especially because you put in so much work already. So coaching is not just for the beginner. We definitely have beginners, but if you're like almost there and you're just not quite where you want to be, hire that coach, because you can only get so far on your own, especially if you don't have the expertise and education in this.
And that is honestly the ideal path for all SDE Evolution clients. So the reason we have the app, the reason we have the free resources is so maybe it's not 80%, maybe you're not getting to 80%, but it's
she was an app member first, so she was probably even more than that.
Exactly. So to get you to 50%, to get you to 60%, great. 80%, that's fantastic. That is the point of those free resources. And if you can, trial and error beyond that and you never need to hire a coach, cool. I am thrilled with that. I'm glad you got use of those free tools. Glad you got great use of the app. That's what it's there for, to get you over the top and to get you beyond the frustrations and to eliminate a lot of the trial and error to get to that point where you are truly thriving. You are hiring a coach for that shortcut. There's no cheat code, but there is a shortcut because we have the methodology, we have the process, the blueprint in place, And then we take all the tools that we know are very effective and figure out which ones you need to be utilizing that fit your life, that make you feel really, really good, to allow you to thrive throughout the process. It's not struggle for 6 months so you can get to this point and then go back to what you were doing. It's thrive through the whole fucking process, feel really good, and see progress happen all along the way. That is the point of one-on-one coaching. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's all I got to say. Where can they find you?
I'm at Alessandra Skutnik.
I'm at Josh Skutnik.